why Meghan had to go to the UK, why the kids had to come. Those of you who follow my Substack will have known about this. Yes, I know I'm animated. What can I do? I'm so mad. Meghan will be auditioning to be a royal again. That's right. Once more for the cheap seats in the back. That girl is doing it because nothing else has worked. She knows she needs to get back there, get some royal sheen on her. Then who's really paying for security? Now, the Sun has said that, oh, King Charles is going to pay for it. I am hearing different things from my sources, and they are really good. So we'll discuss that as well. Also, where are the Sussexes going to stay? Because they ain't staying in no hotel. Who knows? We'll get into that too. And finally, William's fury. And he has every right to be furious. That kid, he's done everything right. And boop, there you go. And of course, for you guys, we've got a little something with the turd bird. Doug, we filled something for you guys last night. I'm excited. All right. Here we go. We're going back to the beginning. Meghan, this poor girl, of course, she had to go. Nothing is working out. The height of her popularity was when she first joined the royal family, period. Now, there are people who are like, I saw her from the beginning. Who cares? Her popularity was way up there. And it didn't really falter until about, I would say, 8 or 9 months in after the Australia trip. And she has never recovered. Nothing has worked. The Hollywood deals have gone down. All of her businesses have gone deep. And I know we've talked about as ever. Yes, the jam's going bad. Does she care? No. Do you want to know why? It's a tax write-off, a huge tax write-off. So for those of you who are not aware, if you have an LLC, you run it through another company. We know she has several companies. One is called Mama Knows Best, and which is so creepy, isn't it? I hate that name. Mama Knows Best. But anywho, boo, we know that for 5 years, a company can run as a loss. And in those 5 years, you can run almost anything you want through that company. You can run a lot of personal expenses that are business, especially if it's lifestyle. So she's been around for 2.5 years. She's got another 2.5 years. Also, she is going to sunset that company into another company because, as we know, as ever, we'll never make money. You cannot scale jam like that unless you are Smuckers. And even then, in this day and age, when sugar is the evil of all evils in the Maha and a lot of other people's minds, and mine, I mean, let's be honest, I'm getting up there and I have some jam and it goes straight to my thighs. I'm not that interested in having to once again get larger clothing sizes. We'll move on. But it's not going to work out. We know this, and people are not interested. We've looked at her sales before. There is traffic to her site as ever. It has plummeted. However, she does not convert sales. Just look at her ShopMy. Her ShopMy had 0.02% conversion. That is ridiculous. A dead cat wearing a hat on Broadway would get more views and more clicks on that dead cat's hat than Meghan got on her ShopMy, and most likely on her one-off, because most things on one-off are old. And which also is confusing, because why are you selling? Why are you shilling all those outfits? You should be shilling, this is what I'm wearing every day, not the Bondi Beach Massacre outfit, not the children's hospital outfits, certainly not Invictus outfits, and especially if you're not going to give the proceeds back to the charities or the victims, or someone like Scott Snow at Invictus, who is hurt and is in the hole, thousands of dollars, can't work, is in pain, all because of Invictus Games. By the way, I have an update on Scott next week. Y'all are going to have to sit tight. I'm waiting on one more development. So yeah, that's not going to work out. However, Meghan does not care. It hurts her reputationally. However, financially, it's fine. Again, massive tax break. What they need, what her and Harry need, is to be back on this balcony again. That's what they need for anything to work out. And by anything, I also mean Harry's Invictus Games, because I have talked about the finances of Birmingham Invictus before and how they still need around $25 million, million pounds from companies and from individuals. So far, they've only got 4 million. The government has chipped in 29 million pounds, which it's a lot, especially for Birmingham, which apparently has a rat problem, a trash problem, and just got out of bankruptcy. And you're going to give 29 million to a guy who's holding massive games for around 500 people, when the Wounded Warrior Department of Defense Games does it for 2 million every year. Okay, we'll go on. We'll move on, because none of this makes sense. Now, you're looking at a girl who doesn't mind paying taxes, because I like a paved road. I like a policeman. I love a fireman. But I get mad when taxes go to somewhere that's frivolous. And I do not think Wounded Warriors are frivolous. I think they're important, but I also think there's a lot of other people milking off that teat, if you know what I mean. Now, we've talked about Harry and his awards. I'm not going to get back into it. But the problem here is Harry had to come for this nothing burger of an event this summer. 1 year to go for Invictus. I'm not sure he does that for every games. He had to do it this year because there's no money. They're not giving up, they're not giving up the cash. No one is. In fact, there's no big corporate investor. He had to go. He had to get some sort of alliance with his father. He had to have a meeting. And as I reported, when it was just him alone, the king was like, yeah, my schedule's full. Now, Williams is always full. We can just keep that as a granted, especially when it comes to Harry. But it wasn't until Harry announced that Meghan and the kids were coming that the king was like, oh boy, all right, I'm going to squeeze this in. This still remains to be seen. Of course, anything can still happen in the days of our Montecito lives. But Harry needed Meghan and the kids to come. Meghan also had to come, and now he's coming. It's a lot. They needed it. They both need it. Now, here's what I also think. I think they are auditioning for a royal role. Meghan, as we've talked about before, takes everything she does as a role. All right. I think she's re-auditioning for a royal role. Her and Harry said in that People magazine article, we are working royals. We work, and Harry is of royal blood and Meghan is royal by marriage. So therefore we are working royals, semantics. No one's buying that. And so I think they are re-auditioning for King Charles to do that. And they are going to be using the kids. It is emotional blackmail. I know there's people who are like, oh, he's weak, but come on, man, have a heart. This is a grandpa. All right. And he does want to see the kids. And I can't blame him for that. I am not a grandma. I am not a mom, except to Doug. However, it hurts my heart to think that the kids wouldn't see their grandpa and that he is obviously being emotionally blackmailed, which is, it's not cool, but there we go. That is what is happening. Now, I want to talk about some other things, because what the royal family, and I think if they see him, if they see the kids, it will only be Charles. All right. possibly Camilla, because Camilla loves and supports Charles. Remember, Charles does have cancer. The enemy of cancer is stress. This is going to be hugely, horrifically stressful for him. And so what do I think Camilla will show up? If she shows up, yes. And it will only be to support Charles. It will also be for another pair of eyeballs and ears in the room, so that when recollections vary, again, there will be people there, including footmen, including, I don't know, if it were me and they were in New York, the laws are you can tape somebody without them knowing it. Hell yeah, I'd tape them. Oh yeah, because we know that this is always in the background, and that everyone's effing terrified that if they don't get their way, if Harry and Meghan bring the kids and meet Charles and then demand all the things that they want, because you know they're going to demand it. Yeah, I do think that's going to happen. Unfortunately, I do. It's it's not cool, but you know, Harry could always write a sequel to Spare. He was the bestseller, and Meghan could always write her book that she's never got. Now, I did report a couple months ago that Penguin Random House doesn't want to have anything to do with them ever again, because they were up until recently still getting calls from the Sussexes saying, hey, where's our royalties? Because the Sussexes didn't realize there will never be royalties, because you can never earn out the advance that you guys got upon getting into the States. So sorry, not going to happen. And they were so difficult to work with. However, Meghan does have a book she could write. Never signed NDAs, didn't do anything. They could also bring along the Netflix cameras, which they have tried to do before, and the royal family put a hell of a kibosh on it. I mean, remember this. This is my favorite quote from my story last week of Princess Anne saying Meghan was incapable of fitting in with anyone because she couldn't cope with following simple rules, as she felt her way was better. She still feels her way was better. This is not something that all of a sudden she's been like, no, I'm wrong, you're right. No, she still feels she's got something to teach them, a lot of things to teach them. And she is, as we've seen, very manipulative. Harry is, as we know, not that smart. And she is the one driving the bus and plotting and planning. Now, Harry has his own personal PR. Liam, well, he works for the Sussexes, but he is hugely Team Harry, so therefore Team Meghan. However, you know, Sunshine Sachs is Meghan's old contact, and they have been letting a bunch of things drop that really, really make you go, huh, are you sure about that? What the heck is going on? And yeah, you know, they put out stuff like, Harry's got it. He's been assured he has Ravik security. Does he though? No, he didn't. He still is under the rule of, I'm going to give you 30 days notice, and then they can decide. Did they decide in this case? Yes. Do I think it was from Harry's team that Project Thaw happened? Yes, I do. Do I think that that's actually happening? From my sources, this is exactly what they say. Of course, King Charles wants to know his children. Of course, he misses Harry the way he used to be. However, he cannot trust them, and he knows there's always the threat of a tell-all, a book, a GMA appearance, a CBS morning appearance with Gayle King. He knows and he feels it is impossible for a full thaw. He also has given his life for the monarchy, and I know people say he's weak, he's bringing down the monarchy, all of that. No, I think he still has his loyalties, not as much as Queen Elizabeth. I think she would have been like, done. Although she did keep Andrew around for a long time and overlooked a lot of what then Prince Andrew did. So, by the way, Suzanne King, thank you so much. Lizzie B, I saw you earlier. And Kim, you too. I appreciate you guys so much for your support. Now, here is, oh, wait, what did Suzanne say? Rumor, are they planning to reveal the kids' faces? I honestly don't know if anyone cares at all. Yeah, they do care. And here's why I think they would reveal the kids' faces. Okay. Number one, Harry and Meghan are going to say, what's the problem? William and Catherine did it. Look at this beautiful family photo where we all know what George, Louis, and Charlotte look like. Yeah, we do. However, they will also not understand their hypocrisy, as they have never understood their hypocrisy of lecturing all of us about, hey, you know what? Don't put your kids online, but here's our kids. They've shown Lily with literally a half profile. So anyone with AI knows exactly what she looks like. Just look at Lil Olives. They did a lookalike of Lily on there. So yeah. Do I think there's a good chance they will show the faces? Absolutely, I do. Also, her next business is going to be family driven, blah, blah, blah. And she will always point to William and Catherine and say, well, they're doing it. Why can't I? Here's why they're doing it, because it's their public duty and they are assured 100% privacy if they show their kids once or twice a year. And that's what happens. They know it. They know the deal. They also have done the baby photos. Meghan did it days after, showing again. She didn't want to play by the rules. These were her rules. Also, it would go against everything she's ever said of, I'm never showing the kids' faces. I'm telling you, this episode, this next month of the days of our Montecito lives is going to be bonkers. Really nuts. All right, let's get into the next thing I really want to talk about, because it's got a lot. All right, so Tom Sykes, who I am actually speaking with at 1:00, if you guys are not dead ass sick of me. Tom Sykes wrote this yesterday. My God, this week is so long, every day feels like a month. He wrote, Raging William shuns Charles over Harry and Meghan invite. Prince William has threatened to boycott Sandringham and shunned a key family gathering with his father last weekend in disgust at learning of Meghan Markle's triumphant, imminent return to the UK on the arm of Prince Harry. The visit is being paid for by King Charles, who I'm told is happy at the outcome, which means he will get to meet his grandchildren, Archie and Lilibet, for the first time in several years. Prince William has threatened to boycott Sandringham and shunned a key family gathering with his father last weekend in disgust at learning of Meghan Markle's triumphant imminent return to the UK on the arm of Prince Harry. The visit is being paid for by King Charles, who I'm told is happy. Yeah, we already read that. Great. So then we've got William is going to boycott the big house at Sandringham forever if Harry and Meghan are invited there, as they have been lobbying to be allowed for several weeks. One source said, several weeks, my butt. They've been lobbying for months. Anywho, sorry, that was not in the piece. That was just me. And an extraordinary revelation just published in The Sun that Charles is footing the bill for Harry and Meghan's security detail during the trip will infuriate William, who will see it as irrefutable evidence that his father, who he believes has been weak. Oh boy. Yeah. He has allowed himself to be emotionally blackmailed by Harry and Meghan into greenlighting them a VVIP visit. Charles' friends have defended the king, with one telling Tom that, I'm trying to do two things at once, with one telling Tom that it was like the biblical story of the prodigal son, saying it's a happy outcome for the king. The fatted calf will be slaughtered. However, friends of William said the king should support his heir, and he owes William more respect. Now, I agree. I do. I have several things that I am raising my eyebrows at in that story. But let's continue. The king's offer to underwrite Harry's security means that a still unresolved decision from Ravik about Harry's security becomes irrelevant for now. The fact that Charles is paying settlement as an argument I've been saying with the rest of the royal commentaries for the better part of this year. While it is true that the Sussexes have been relentlessly pushing the story, the revelation that Charles's office has been secretly planning the logistics and how to pay for the trip shows the true engine of Harry and Meghan's return to the tent is Charles. It's an astonishing betrayal of his loyal and dutiful heir, who has made clear he never wants to see Harry again, believes he should be exiled as far away as possible, and has told friends he blames the stress of Harry and Meghan's betrayal for aggravating Catherine's cancer. Yes, that is true. William does blame Harry and Meghan for aggravating Catherine's cancer. I wrote about that last year. What I do not think is happening, because I did make some calls, I do not think that King Charles is paying for this. I think that, again, Harry let it be known he wanted to go to Sandringham. Then he let it slip he'd be open to an invitation to Sandringham. They're clearly really bucking for Sandringham, okay? And he also has applied for security. I believe he got security because Meghan and the children are coming. I believe without that, he may have had some security, again, because he's going to Birmingham. Birmingham has a huge Muslim population, and he is not exactly popular. However, I don't believe he's going to the main house. I think there is a strict rule of no Meghan. I was told today the king would have been fine with just Harry and the kids. However, no Meghan. She's not allowed, not in the big house. So, and of course, as we know, Meghan's not going to let those kids go anywhere without her. You know, it's kind of like, well, if you want them, you have to get me. Same with what Harry's doing. If you want them, you have to get me and Meghan. So, yes, he will likely stay on a royal property. It may even be in Sandringham, which is unfortunate because guess who also has a house at Sandringham? William and Catherine and their kids. Oof, it's going to get messy, as does Prince Andrew, for that matter. Ha! Ooh, the plot thickens. I don't think they'll be at the main house. I don't. Of course, things could change, but right now, my very good source, who is good friends with Charles, saw him in New York. This is what they are saying. It's a hell of a lot. You know, it's a lot. It's involving emotional blackmail. It's involving business. It's involving life. Would Harry like to come back to the UK? He would. He bored. He's rudderless. He needs help. Invictus needs help. We all know this. Of course, Invictus may need help, but you know who needs help more? Scott Snow. The veteran who was injured at Invictus Games, who was kicked to the curb by a hair bear. It was great. And Invictus, it was really pretty hideous. William, of course, is furious, as he should be. I don't think he will ever forgive Harry. His focus is on him, his family, and that is it. And the monarchy, actually, because you know, there's a lot of people who called him work shy Willie. I don't think that was fair. I think anyone who called him work shy Willie is kind of a jerk. I mean, his wife had cancer. She was sick. And he and his wife made a very strong pact that they would raise their children differently than William had been raised, so that in fact there may not have to be repetition of history, that Louis and Charlotte may not have to turn out crazy and demented and you know, the constant victim like some other people. I'm not naming names. think you know who I'm talking about. And that maybe they can see their parents in a loving, working relationship, so they too can find people who are loving and know how to work a relationship, so that they don't end up in a manipulative, odd situation around the world. Again, not saying names, allegedly. However, that is the deal. They're going. I don't believe King Charles is paying for the security. I believe the British taxpayers are picking up that bill, and they will, at least for part or whole of it. And sorry, British taxpayers, that sucks. That's my belief. I believe that that the news that Charles is behind everything is a Harry drop. I do. We've seen him do it before. To try to manipulate things into getting what he wants, and to try to manipulate a wedge between William and Charles. I mean, there already is a wedge, we know this, but to widen that wedge, that's what I believe. I also think that Meghan is going to try to re-audition as a royal, possibly, put her best foot forward. But here's the danger. Again, one last reminder before we go and show you the turd bird. This is the biggest danger. When Meghan doesn't get what she wants, or she feels slighted, or her manipulations don't work, this is what happens. You see the revenge, and they're very vengeful, these Sussexes. You know what I mean? They seem to stamp their foot and try to get their way anyway. So if they're not let back in, there's going to be a problem. They've done everything. They've said, we are working royals. They've done whatever. But again, what is she going to do? Merchandise her clothing, how to meet your evil stepmother, in-law, what to wear when to visit the king. It's out of this world. It's impossible to think. Of course, we know he is going to do some work with Wellchild while he's there, and Scotty's little soldiers. And of course, Meghan likes to insert herself. She will likely be at a lot of this, especially for Invictus, and likely sell the clothes, which is, I don't know, you guys. I'm grossed out by it all. I really am. I was always raised, you do charity and you're quiet about it. Or you work to bring attention, which is what they think they do. But the operative word is work. You don't show up for your own glorification. Ugh. All right, palate cleanser. What? I told you this would happen. So Doug and I were watching Love Island, and he got annoyed. I don't blame him. I know. I'm a horrible mother. I make him watch Love Island. I close his little eyes at the hideaway, but whatever. And so then we took a little break from we palate cleansed from Love Island and from this. And here we go. This is us. Yeah. Goosey baby. He does. That's my goose. He makes those noises all the time. It's like he talks to me. Sometimes I do it back. I'll be honest with you. I mean, everyone likes a conversation, don't they? And I think the turd bird does too. He's snoring. Literally, I don't know if you can hear him. He is literally snoring right beside me. I don't get it because his face isn't smushed in. Anyway, thanks you guys. Like, subscribe. Don't forget, hit the bell. If you want my Substack, it is in the description. And again, I'm so sorry for all the big quiet. I'm going to put a pinned comment letting everybody know to start 3 minutes in because dum here. Oh, it's embarrassing. All right, guys. I'm going to go hop on with Tom Sykes now. So if you're not sick of me, I'll see you there. And I'll likely see you tomorrow, too, because I'm hanging out with the Royal Daily Tea. Michelle from Texas. I'll see you then. Bye, guys. Thank you so much. I appreciate you.